rights if the owner of the team says, look, you're not going to, like, again, my team, the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones, the owner of the Cowboys, said, okay, if you disrespect the flag or the anthem, you can just go ahead and consider yourself
For which
fired.
he was roundly touted and called a racist by other actual real racists who hate him because he's actually being patriotic and he's white and an easy target, because I hear 70% of the NFL is people of color and African Americans. And so he sets the tone, the rule, and the standard that those of his subordinates are going to follow in the NFL. And all of a sudden, the media, the left-wing operatives come out of the woodwork and they throw the rhetorical bludgeon of you're a racist, you're intolerant, you're not wanting to discuss the issues. People have freedom of speech and of conscience, and you're trying to force them what to think and say and do. That's not the point. All of us have jobs.
That's not good.
Absolutely. I love you, Mr. President. Come on my show anytime.
And see, this is all because...
But I'm not done with my
Thank you very much. That's really nice. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The miracle of modern technology.
Do you remember
ladies
the
and
old
gentlemen.
days? I remember back in the 1990s when I first came back from Europe. They were selling these little keychains that had like 6 buttons. And it was like a vulgarity thing where you could like press a button, it would say go to hell, and the next button would say you're a B, and the other one would say F you. I'm not going to say the word, and so forth. I'm wondering if someone in the booth there, because I'm beginning to believe that this may not be the actual real live Donald J. Trump.
No!
Well, yeah, but he sounds so fluid, like he's actually there listening to us. I'm wondering if one of our engineers in there, who may be a liberal, is trying to sabotage the show.
It's a nice effect. I like it.
I wanted to say one last thing. We move it along. The NFL can set the tone. Roger Goodell, who's the commissioner of the NFL, has to say if you don't stand for the anthem, there's going to be consequences, and the league is free to do with these players as they please. And most of the players who do, the owners who do not wish to stop politicizing a national pastime or our America's favorite game so that people can actually enjoy it and not be political. Look, when I was growing up, my grandfather said to me one thing. He said there's 2 things that you don't talk about at work: religion and politics. And then he added, and the 3rd thing you never do is cross a picket line. You don't discuss...
Right.
You don't discuss religion and politics. You don't discuss religion and politics, and you don't cross a picket line. That's the work environment. Because if everybody at work had a First Amendment right to say whatever the hell comes to their mind, corporations couldn't function. Offices would have mass chaos going on with their employees fighting with each other. You have to be civil, keep your opinions to yourself, and focus on the job, which in this case is a bunch of multi-million-dollar playboy thugs. How many of them have criminal records or felonies or wife beating or alcohol, DWIs, or substance abuse? How many of them are injuring dogs like that guy who was Michael Vick abusing dogs and killing them and fighting with them and thinking it was okay, and the NFL condoned that.
We have losers.
They are losers. They're absolute losers. And the reason why the NFL is losing is because we, the real American people... Murdoch, you're an American, right?
Last time I checked.
Let me see your green card. Do you have a
I
green?
don't
Are you
need a
naturalized or?
I don't need a green card. I was born here.
To stop the nonsense in the workplace. For the NFL, the rule is you stand for the national anthem and keep it moving along. And Whitney Houston honored the national anthem in 1996, I believe it was.
No, it was
95.
It was 1991.
91.
At the height of the Gulf War.
Brother, man, that's why you're the co-host and I'm the host, because you know more than the host.
And it's not just that, okay?
1991, Whitney Houston, she honored that flag. There was a flyover. And how many Confederate flags were incorporated into the state's flags that were being shown along that state flag line where all the honor guard was? Today, you couldn't even show those flags because some flags have, Confederate battle flags in them. Like I forgot what states have it.
Georgia has
it, or whatnot, in their state flag. And this way, today, the little crybabies in their safe zone saying, "Oh, there's a Confederate battle flag. Oh my God, racism! I need a safe space and a Valium."
To me.
Yeah, exactly. It's deplorable, Mr. President. You know what? Put me on your panel. Sebastian Gorka is no longer one of your advisors. You need an advisor, Mr. President. Contact Matt Murdoch, and I'll get back in touch with you.
Remember now, I'm no longer Matt Murdoch. I'm Crazy Tony D'Amato.
Oh, well, yeah. Okay. So let me do.
That's an inside joke, by the way.
Let me do myself a favor here and tell him to pipe down. Let's talk about these wildfires in California. The state of California is going up in flames, and nobody seems to know what to do about it. They're not putting the fires out. Thousands of acres of homes and property is being burned. And what is the mayor of California doing to put these wildfires
The
out?
mayor of
Michael Savage was tweeting, "Help! I'm breathing ash."
The mayor of California.
I mean, the governor of
I was about to
California,
say.
and the mayor of Los Angeles. I mean, what are they doing about it?
I got to confess, I haven't really been following this story.
Well, it's
you
very
know
bad.
more,
A lot of stuff.
you
I don't know much
you know
about
more
it.
about this than I do.
I
so
do know
I'll-
that I read on the news today that one couple, they were in their 60s, and they were, in order to survive the advancing flames, they had to go into a neighbor's 4-foot deep swimming pool and stay there for 6 hours while the flames
Wow.
ravaged the area around them, burned their house down to the ground,
Can you
burned their car
imagine?
to the ground, and destroyed everything. When they emerged, the whole neighborhood was one big ash pile.
Wow.
I don't know if I could stay underwater for 4 hours, like popping my head up every once in a while with the heat of an oven, like right above you, because they said that they put their clothes and their shoes off to the side of the pool. The shoes were melted and the clothes were incinerated. So
Wow.
they had a rag that they put over their face when they would come up for some air to try to keep their face from burning. But 4 hours, could you do it, Mr. Murdoch?
Well, considering the alternative, yeah, I think I could.
Your alternative is?
I wouldn't stay in a swimming pool for 4 hours just
6
for the
hours.
heck of it. 6 hours, whatever. But if I got literally hell on earth around me, yeah, I think I could stay in the water.
Michael Savage was sending out some tweets where he intimated that he believes that some of these forest fires were intentionally set by terrorists. He was thinking they may be Middle Eastern terrorists who are trying to sort of sabotage our infrastructure because like 1,400 homes were burned, thousands of cars, people dispossessed, and the fire is nowhere near being controlled from what I heard this morning on the radio that I was listening to. So the fire is moving along. People are fleeing for their lives. And it got so bad at one point that Russia offered to provide their services by sending one of their air water bombers over. It's one of the largest water-carrying water bombers in the world. It's a jet-powered water bomber that can carry like 100,000 gallons of water and drop it on a fire and put it out pretty quickly. Where are our water bombers? We have a water bomber gap with the Ruskies.
Now, you know good and well we cannot...
Damn right. Putin might be behind this. It's a water bomber gap.
You know good and well that we cannot accept any help from Russia because if we do, you know what's going to happen. See? Russian collusion. See?
Yeah. You know something, you stinking lying rat fiends in the media, in the mainstream media? Your whole narrative about the moral virtue and high road of Hollywood has been smashed with your golden guy, Mr. Harvey Weinstein, being a sexual predator for more than 30 years.
You're not a nice person.
Yeah, so you understand that Mr. Weinstein was actually preying upon among some of the most vulnerable young actresses he could get his hands on, those that were looking for employment and fame and may have been a little bit naive and starstruck. I mean, where is the real outrage from Hollywood with that? No, they're going to circle the wagons and protect themselves.
I don't know. A lot of them are coming out now.
Many of the victims are coming out, but it's a little too late right now. Hillary Clinton took 5 days to come out with a statement where she finally condemned Harvey Weinstein for certain actions, where if you look at her Twitter page, she has a pinned tweet, which means a tweet that she keeps at the top so that it's always going to be the first comment that you see when you go to her Twitter. And it says, to all the little girls out there, never forget that you are well-loved and capable of doing anything you want. Well, what about all the girls? In other words, she's trying to get onto the voting block of, women, feminism,
she's
and everything.
Desperately trying
What
to
about
hold
feminism
on.
when it comes to sexual improprieties with people, Hollywood producers like Harvey Weinstein, who, he donated millions of dollars to the Democratic coifers. The Democrats own Harvey Weinstein. The Democrats own the Russia story, which has bared no fruit in over a year of intensive investigations with the special commission that's been, paneled to investigate it. Why? Because there is no Russian collusion. There is no collusion with Vladimir Putin. And President Trump's made one off-key locker room comment that all men, I don't want to burst your bubbles out there, people. To all you liberal leftards out, I'm sorry, I don't mean to call you leftards, leftists. To all you liberal leftists out there. Because I got banned on Twitter for using the word libtard. Can you believe it? I called someone a libtard. My account was frozen for 24 hours.
See, that's...
So
I've been trying to tell you that's why you need to come to Facebook. I see libtard on Facebook all the time. Okay.
So in other words, they're trying to paint President Bush, President Clinton... who's the president now?
The guy's
President
been,
Trump.
The guy's
President,
been talking
Mr.
to us all
President.
morning.
They're trying to paint President Trump
President Trump.
President Trump.
Thank you.
How the heck is he doing this? They're trying to paint President Trump with the same broad brush that they were painting President Obama and President, Slick Willie Clinton with.
Okay,
that
now-
he was a deviant like. Well, at least
Now-
like
now
Bill
look,
Clinton
now look,
was.
now look,
And he wasn't all
now-
because he said grabbed him by the you-know-what.
Now-
He was talking locker room talk. He wasn't actually doing it like your golden child, Harvey Weinstein.
Most hetero.
Thank you very much. That's really nice. Thank you.
You're welcome, Mr. President.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's just tell the truth here. Whether you like it or not, most normal heterosexual men,
Real men.
when women aren't present, that's the way we talk.
That's the way you talk.
That's
But
the
I've
way
heard
we
people
have
like you talking
always
that way.
talked.
That's right.
That's
Okay?
right. It's not
All
the
right?
way all of us talk. I've heard it.
And not only that, let's also tell the truth about the double standard, because I know this for a fact from all the years I worked in the bar business. Guess what? There are a lot of women who talk the same way about men.
Women are more nasty than men in a lot
Okay.
of circumstances. I've heard women go at it when they're
look,
when they have a few
look,
drinks in them.
okay, let me
Oh,
tell-
look at
okay.
that guy. He's packed like a 45.
Let me tell you, okay, all right.
That's President 45. President Trump.
Going back to my bar days, one of the bars I worked at, we decided to switch the men's restroom and the women's restroom, right? And
What do you mean switch? You put the signs on each different door?
yeah, well, we were going to basically take the men's room and change it into the women's room, and the women's room into the men's room.
Were there
Now,
urinals?
why I don't know. That's just the way it
Did
was.
they both have urinals, like stand-up urinals?
Yeah, I mean,
For the women too?
I mean,
Forget it. Let's change the subject.
no.
here.
Let me finish. All right. Don't cut me off when I'm trying to say something here. Okay.
All right, go ahead. Hurry up.
What I found out was, okay, before we had a chance to repaint the walls in both of them, you know how there's always graffiti on bathroom walls, right? The graffiti that was in the women's room that was about to be changed to the men's room was 10 times as filthy as the stuff that was written on the walls in the men's room. I was shocked. I was like, women actually talk like this. That's when I first found out.
Unbelievable.
So
I'm not surprised, though.
So that's another reason why I say all this stuff about what President Trump said is fake outrage. It's because it's not like
It's a wall.
yeah, like both sides do it. You
know,
know,
speaking of the wall,
nobody wants to talk about that.
Mr. President, speaking of the wall, the various companies, a few companies have now prepared prototypes and erected them along the border at some location where Homeland Security and other government officials are inspecting the wall prototypes to see which wall type would be best suited.
I want to get the wall started.
Right, so we are getting it started by selecting a prototype, and the prototype is going to be something that could be seen through, that's at least 20 feet high, that cannot be driven over by a truck using ramps over the top, like some of the walls, those areas that we have in the.
And what about the
along
electronic
border.
sensors? I've heard that idea tossed about.
And what about the solar
top of the
panels
line.
at the top? Mr. President, we're going to have solar panels on the top so that we can actually pay for the wall's electrical usage.
Okay.
Also, we could send the bill to Mexico for the electrical usage and not let them know that we have solar panels. This way we can get
And it
double
shouldn't be
dipping
done.
and help get the economy going again, Mr. President. But I got to it can be done, absolutely. I would like to say about the wall, look, we have how long is our border? About 2,000 miles from
something like that,
Pacific to
yeah.
Atlanta? Well, basically we have to go from Southern California, Baja, along Arizona, and then into New Mexico. Everybody's going over that wall, catapult style. So the wall doesn't need to be in place along the entire 2,000-mile
No,
stretch.
no.
It just needs to be, because there are certain physical barriers like rivers and mountains that are really not that easy to get across.
Right.
But there are going to be vast areas of wall that would extend hundreds of miles, I'm assuming. But they really got to get on it right
I'd
now.
say just concentrate on the main areas of concern, which would be at this point the borders of California and Mexico.
Yeah, I mean, Florida to me doesn't really have a potential for invasion by Mexico, although back in the
Texas.
1980s there was a Mariel boat lift where tens of thousands of people were released from Cuban jails and mental institutions, and just regular people got on every boat they could find, and Castro said, goodbye, go to America, we're going to get rid of these problems that we have here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the movie Scarface came from, am I right? It was sort of like a drama about a Cuban immigrant who came and started a whole drug cartel.
to my
new
friend.
It's very complicated. I never liked that. I'd like to to sort of freestyle a little bit with our discussion because now I'm talking about the movie Tony Montana with, Scarface. It was called.
Which I always thought it was interesting how they got, Tony Montana, which was a Spanish, Cuban character.
Yeah, he was Cuban, from Cuba.
That was played by Al Pacino, an Italian.
The Cuban people and the Italian people kind of have certain physical similarities, especially when they gave him that haircut and they gave him that accent. I heard that Al Pacino was, as part of his training for the role, was sent to hang out in Little Havana for a couple of weeks to learn the accent and the mannerisms of the Cuban population there, which I think would you say he kind of went over the top with that character, or was he kind of a convincing, Cuban drug lord kind of guy that they were trying to convey in that film?
Let me put it to you this way. I think he did a convincing enough job in doing that role that a lot of people don't know that Al Pacino is actually
was
Italian.
actually Italian.
a lot of people think that Al Pacino is Latino because of Tony Montana.
Mr. Murdoch,
and it shows you how great an actor Al Pacino
Mr. Murdoch, though,
is.
how much Italian is Al Pacino? I mean, he has an Italian last name. It ends in a vowel, so he must be Italian. But I mean, a lot of people who have vowels at the last name or they claim they're Italian, they have other ethnicities mixed in with them. Like, for example, some may be Italian and German and Irish and whatnot, or some may be Italian and Cuban or whatnot.
But it might be
But he's Italian mostly, culturally Italian.
Yeah. Well, I was about to say
ethnically too.
The one that's the most, that he has the most of in his heritage. That's the way most people identify with whatever they have most in their heritage.
I remember,
So,
and then I'll move it along, that the first time I saw Scarface with Al Pacino, and I was at my cousin's, and he really kind of idolized this kind of film. He felt that it was a masculine kind of movie that, reflected sort of like the kind of culture where, only the strong rise to the top.
Machismo,
it kind of
they used to call
resonated.
it.
Machismo or machismo?
I think it's machismo.
Machismo.
It could be machismo. I don't know.
It's macho. Macho man.
The macho man. Ooh,
I wanna be a macho. Yeah. Keep your opinions to yourself there, 45. No, but my cousin said to me, "Look at this movie," and he sort of like dropped me in on the movie to watch it at the scene where the hitmen were pulling out a chainsaw to try and kill Tony Montana's compatriot, who they handcuffed in a shower, and they were going to chop him up with a chainsaw. And I said to myself, being young and sort of in my late teens there, I cannot watch this. I didn't want to watch it. I felt it was too hyper-violent and disturbing. But in later life, I realized with the kind of violence that we see today in the movies, that it was quite tame compared to that movie that Weinstein did a movie, the Scream movies. I think Miramax was involved in producing a lot of those horror films, and they are so awful and disgusting. And really, they help to make people, I think in a very weird and strange way about society. No wonder violence is rampant.
Okay. Before we go any further, there's one thing I wanted to throw in. If you're talking about the Scarface thing, some of my co-workers and I at my other job, the one that I actually get paid money.
You always got to throw that in. You're fired. Mr. President, you're fired. I know you got that there on the Rolodex.
You're fired.
Get out of here. Take your hat with you. Get out of here.
Now we were discussing that, evidently, how Hollywood is now in this remake.
You're fired.
Who, me? Wait a minute, Mr. President. It's this guy. No. No, don't tell me no. It's this guy. He needs to get the heck out.
Hey, I'm not the one that bailed on the show last time out.
I had a good reason to bail. This guy was saying things that I was going to get riled up. I was going to flip the table. Continue, please, Mr. Murdoch.
Now, apparently, from what we were talking about, there is Hollywood's in the middle of this, trying to remake everything because basically Hollywood has run out of ideas. I'm hearing that they are now going to do a remake of Scarface, and allegedly Leonardo DiCaprio is now going to play the Tony Montana role.
You mean the jet-setting liberal who's out there touting the cause of global warming while he flies around in his Learjet, spewing many tons of carbon footprint all across the atmosphere? That liberal from Titanic, that Titanic liberal, Leonardo DiCaprio,
like I said,
that rotten limousine liberal?
I don't really have any confirmation, but that's the story.
I wonder if Weinstein had him on the couch.
That's the story that's going around, that they're going to do a remake and that DiCaprio is going to be be Tony Montana.
I want to
now.
be serious for 1 second, Mr. Murdoch. This Harvey Weinstein subject is kind of disturbing in the sense that
Kind of disturbing.
if you heard him on the NYPD undercover recording where the girl, I believe she was a French actress or aspiring actress, she went in, she wore a wire because apparently she went to the police and they said, all right, let's see what he has to say. There was enough there for a case to wire her up. She went and approached him and discussed, and in his presence, he was more interested in trying to get her to have a drink and sit down on the couch while he went in to take a shower. Now, to me, if you heard how he would speak with her, he was intimidating and he was bullying. He would say to her things like, no, sit down. Like he would use his authority to basically bully
down.
and force her into sitting down and to try and manipulate and control her so that when his intention, it appears, is that if he came out of the shower, maybe she had a little bit of a drink in her, maybe she'd be a little bit more not within her, her whole parameters.
A little more
easy to take advantage of.
To his
But anyone
advances.
who listened to how he spoke to people, it was intimidating, it was disrespectful,
you
it
gotta
was
understand.
commanding, it was manipulative, everything that Hillary Clinton does.
Hey, this guy
in private, from
this
what
guy-
I hear.
Hey, look, this guy was a major power player in Hollywood for many, many years, and especially when it comes to young aspiring actresses who desperately want to start a career, and
Right,
then a guy like this crosses their path,
It's
and
awful.
they're afraid that if they don't go along with this guy, then they won't achieve their career dreams. It's the old story of the Hollywood casting couch. Basically, is what
Howard-
Harvey Weinstein. Weinstein, however it's pronounced, is just a reminder
Weinstein.
that the Hollywood casting couch system is still in effect. Now, here's my thing. He can't be the only one. Tell me there aren't more Harvey Weinsteins out there. I don't think so.
No, there are.
They're all over the place.
Yeah, they are.
But now, here's what I want to throw this in too. All right, now this scandal has erupted. Okay, there's another one that's come up on social media just in the last couple of days too. All right, you know how the late night talk show hosts they do nothing but it's like a nonstop anti-Trump
bashing
bash,
fest.
right? Okay. Jimmy Kimmel, one of the leading ones, I think he's on ABC. I keep getting him and Jimmy Fallon mixed up. Jimmy Fallon's on NBC, I
One
think.
was a comedian. He had a show that did like these tricks on people, and they have a
Okay.
tape of him having someone grab his pants, and guess what was in his pants?
Thank you. Okay, it was
That's not nice to do.
It was back in years ago when he was part of a show. It was a cable show called The Man Show.
Okay. I never saw it, but yeah, that's it.
And what you just referred to, there was a segment where he's actually enticing women. Okay, first, guess what's in my pants, and then encouraging them to touch what's in his.
And he said,
that
and then kiss
area.
it. And one girl was an 18-year-old young lady,
Yeah.
too. And
Now-
what shocked me is that even
now-
the 18-year-old young lady, she
Yeah.
went along with it. I mean,
Now,
Where's the self-respect
now,
there?
Here we have on videotape, old tapes of the old show. We got him on camera doing this. Remember now, this is Jimmy Kimmel, one of the main Trump bashers on late night TV, and one of the main people, of course, who's all over the private parts. I'm cleaning it up. Private parts grabbing comment, made by President Trump on tape when he thought he was having a private conversation.
right. Yeah,
And all he's
just
doing-
harmless banter is really what it boiled down
All
to.
talk.
all he was doing was talking
That's exactly
about
right.
it, and he gets raked over the coals like he's this horrible, chauvinistic, misogynist, or whatever, and all that stuff.
Misogynist guy.
And here we have Jimmy Kimmel on video where you can see him engaging in this stuff.
But that was the whole purpose of the show, to have people engage in embarrassing, awkward things, and this happened to be
Yeah.
sexual in nature.
So what-
And it's acceptable to people who, use Hollywood's product to the highest degree, and who accept everything that Hollywood has to offer
that's
as
what
a
I'm-
business as usual.
This is just the height of the hypocrisy
It is.
of the left. Okay, all right, okay. President Trump, all he did was talk about it, and he gets crucified. All right. Jimmy Kimmel on video, we actually see stuff happening. Now, where's the outrage on that?
Mr. Murdoch, I wanted to make one point there. President Trump has been accused of a lot of things. And, of course, a man of his high profile and now political stature, he's going to have a lot of mud slung at him by the left, by the right, by those who like him, by former people who knew him in his past incarnations as a businessman, as a casino owner, as a building developer, as a New York City real estate mogul, as the owner of the Plaza Hotel, as a person who repaired the Woolman skating rink when the city of New York couldn't do it in over 4 years, so forth and so on. He's encountered a lot of people in his various incarnations, in his apartments, in his skyscrapers around the world. And yet, where are all the thousands of women or hundreds of women? In this case, with Harvey Weinstein, I heard that there were over 84 people accusing him of sexual impropriety with this casting couch system that he had going, and 4 accusing him of forcible sex, meaning rape. Where are all the people accusing President Trump of any of that?
It doesn't exist, folks.
It doesn't exist because President Trump behaved himself in a proper fashion and manner during his time as a CEO, as an executive, as a chief executive officer.
That's right.
And as a leader of his, of his company. And there is nobody out there who's coming out of the woodwork saying, he did this to me or he did that to me. The only thing they could get him on the left is he talked some nonsense about grabbing something. But big deal. If you heard what Murdoch says to me in private, you would probably want him off the air tonight.
I never said any such thing.
I got it on tape.
Stop lying.
I got it on tape. In any event,
Produce
what
this
else
tape.
All right, he's a great guy, Mr.
Thank
Murdoch.
you.
Mr. Murdoch, listen, we wanted to discuss some other issues here, but we're running low on the clock. We got 4 minutes. What was that other thing we were talking about? Kidney transplants, frozen shoulder. I got a frozen shoulder right now. I don't know if there's any chiropractors, or actually forget chiropractors. I don't believe in chiropractic.
Hypochondria, thy name is Mandrake.
No, I don't have hypochondria. If there's any medical professionals out there, I just wanted to mention I was away for a while. And it turns
fix him.
Well, no, wait a minute. I want to show the audience here. Maybe someone out there can send an email and help me out.
Oh, when I say fix, I don't mean spade and neuter or anything.
This guy doesn't know when to hold the clapper. In German, it means shut the trap.
I ain't holding nothing of yours, buddy.
No, I'm not Harvey Weinstein, but I'm not that guy Kimmel. If I raise my left arm, I could put it directly above my head like this. If I go to raise my right arm, it starts to go over to the left like
Please.
this. I can't bring it up.
Put it down.
It feels like a little bit of a frozen shoulder, my friend. It's not a rotator cuff injury, but I think
Obamacare is a complete and total disaster.
And he's proof
Darn
of
it,
it.
Mr. President, you have to pass health care reform because I need some kind of medical attention. I need an MRI for this shoulder. An MRI is $4,200 for my shoulder with Obamacare, which I don't have because I let it cancel because you said it would be easy to repeal and replace it. And because of that John McCain, one vote John McCain, we don't have to repeal at least the replacement part, but at least the repeal, which means I don't have good health care, and I can't get my shoulder looked at right now, Mr. President.
You do know what...
Something else must be small.
Mr. President, can you please do me a favor, repeal and replace Obamacare? I know you yesterday, made an announcement that insurance companies and hopefully people who require medical service can now purchase it across state lines. That was an excellent thing you're doing, Mr. President. Why? Because you're slowly whittling away at that disaster known as the Affordable Care Act, which has Barack Hussein Obama's entire MO, modus operandi, of being a half-ass kind of guy written all over it because people lost good health insurance that they had. People who need kidney transplants can't get them right now because the anti-rejection drugs that they need to keep themselves alive after the implant of the kidney, the transplant of the kidney, would cost over $120,000 a year when the current plans only will pay, for example, $1,700 a month.
But the good news is you can keep your doctor.
No, $1,700 a year. I forgot what it was. It was almost nothing. Mr. President, you keep doing what you're doing. The American people, we the American people are behind you. You're winning the war, the culture wars. As an example, the NFL hopefully will back down, send out an edict to its owners that they have free reign to make the players to dismiss them if they disrespect our flag, and with the border wall, samples that you're having put up along the border to see how they work. Let's get that border wall going because It really is. It is time now.
Okay,
Thank you
okay,
very much.
let me throw
Thank you,
one.
darling.
You're welcome.
Let me
Thank
throw
you.
one thing in about
Thank you
John
very much.
McCain. All right, we all know the real reason why John McCain's trying to be a thorn in President Trump's side, because he still can't get over the comments that President Trump made about him during the campaign. He's thin-skinned. He can't help it. I see that. He's thin-skinned. He will never go along with anything because his feelings were hurt.
Yeah, he's one vote John McCain. Yeah, he's the Maverick. The Maverick. Hey, Maverick. Sfatshim. Sfatshim, you Maverick.
Well, we're back. We don't know for how long. Don't know how long it's going to be before this guy bails on us again. But
you
for
very
now,
much.
we're back.
Please tune in every weeknight at 10 a.m. Channel 64, Staten Island Cable Television.
Go
at the undisclosed
Yankees.
location. Of course, I just
Go
made up that
Yankees.
information, but you know where to find us. We're like the A-team. Thank you very much. All right, brother. Oh, my frozen shoulder.
Oh, God.